Hey guys, it's Jason. Welcome back to DC Deck Building Rebirth. This is video part 2. So part 1, we went over the core concept of how Rebirth is played. I didn't go necessarily step by step how to play, but I went over the new concepts with the locations, movement, all that stuff. Showed off the different tokens and some of that stuff, explained about scenarios, all that. So if you want to know more what the game is, check out part 1. Part 2 here is we're going to go over the main deck of cards. We're going to go over the character cards you can play as, the hero, villain, equipment, superpower cards, the locations and their basic stacks, all of those things. Then we will check out part 3. Yes, it's going to be a long video for this game, but part 3 is just going to have these scenario packs and like the signature cards, the stuff that would be for the campaign, that we don't want to reveal. So if you don't want to see spoilers, you can watch this entire video and enjoy it, and then come back, check out part 3 if you want to see the spoilery stuff. And if you don't want to get spoiled by any of that, just know that there's 8 scenarios with various cards which tell you how to play the game, as well as there are other cards that you get to add to your deck and reveal. And then there is a pile here, which I'm not even going to show, but we get signature cards for each character, which are going to add, which you can unlock during the game, which add more stuff to your starting hand. And that way, so if you play, let's say in Scenario 2, if you earn a signature card, then when you play Scenario 3, your personal deck, so if you're playing Superman, now you have one extra card to play as that the other characters don't have. So everyone else, they'll each have their own. But then that way everyone's deck starting deck even becomes that much more diversified. So by the time you get all 3 unlocked, 3 of your 10 cards will now be special cards. So then when you're starting later campaigns, you're not always starting completely fresh. Alright, so with that being said, check out that part of the video. Check out part 3 if you want to see all that, or go back and check out part 1. And we are going to head into looking at the decks. First thing I want to do, even before I go over the heroes, is let's just look at our starting cards. So these are pretty much similar to the original starting cards you get in the regular game. You're going to get a ton of punch cards. These are your not generic, but your standard starting cards that just give you 1 power. Don't have a cost, don't have VP. And there will be, I think, 7 for each, 6 or 7 for each character. Might be 6 in this game. Yeah, 6 in this game. So normally you'd have 7, and you'd have 3 vulnerabilities. This one you actually get 6 of them because you get some other cards. So we have them. Then you're gonna get 3 copies of for each player, so it's 12 total, of Run. So this is your basic movement card. So this will have move on the side, just as a reminder. It lets you move 2 spaces around that board. So everyone gets to start with 3 of these. So you're always going to at least have some way of moving a couple spaces. At least hopefully every turn, unless you draw 3 your first turn, then your second turn you can't move. It kind of suck, but at least that second turn you'd have all the power you need, potentially. So that's a different one we have there. So we get those, but we actually don't get any vulnerabilities in this set, which is very interesting. And maybe this is a way that you want to play it from now on, is just take out the vulnerabilities, add some other cards, I don't know. But everyone gets 1 copy of Helping Hand. So Helping Hand has a couple of things going for it. First of all, it has assist, and it has range 0. It gives you +1 power, and it says target player may move their character 1 space. So it does have the move ability, even though it doesn't have the move keyword. So it's going to give you 1 power. So in that sense, it's absolutely no different than one of your punches. So it's just replacing that. What the other half of the card does is assist is a new keyword that came out, which lets you use this card on another player's turn, or use it to help another player. So I can pay this to move. I can use this card on a different player's turn. So even though I look at this card, let's say I'm Green Lantern and someone else is playing as Batman, I can use this on their turn to help Batman move. Now this means I'm going to have one less card during my turn, but maybe that's fine. I'm like, hey, it's more important to get Batman moved one space over to do something than it is for me, than me to be able to do it. Plus, on the assist, they're also going to gain 1 power. So maybe it's, again, worth giving them extra power. Range 0, though, however, means they have to be on the same space as you. So I can only move him one space over. I can't move him wherever I want on the board. I'm sorry, range 0 means... I said that, maybe range 0 means I can move him anywhere. Let me double check that quick. I think that was one of the oddball things there. So... Helping Hand. I know they specified this card in there. Moving a character card. Why is it whenever I'm actually looking for a thing that specifies how something works, I can never find it? Alright, Helping Hand. Note that the assist has range 0 in your space. Allows another player to move their character one space and has no range. If you assist a character in your space, give them +1 power during the turn. They choose who gets the move option. This move effect does not generate move that can be spent to pay abilities. So you can't use it to pay for move things, but it does help you. Yeah, so it has to be in your same space. Allows the another player to move their character one space and has no range. Alright. So it says, yeah, target player may move their character one space. So if you're targeting yourself with this on your turn, you can move one space and gain 1 power. So it's kind of a little like half and half of the other cards. But you can also target another player, assist to another player, which gives them this card. They get 1 power, then they can target who gets to move. So they can even target you again. Alright, so that's kind of a neat, interesting little startup. Then, of course, we're going to have our deck of weaknesses, which are just weaknesses. -1, messes up your hand. Nothing special there. Alright, so those are our basic cards. Then we do, or as our starter cards, then we do have basic cards, which are a brand new card type. So we have a couple of different ones, and mine got all mixed up for some reason. Alright. So we have, so what is neat about these is they're actually limited to a space. So these are going to work like your kicks. So if they're available, anyone that moves to that location has access to it. If you buy Toss, for example, it costs you 3, gives you 1 VP. And then when you play it, it gives you +2 power, and you may move target villain in your space up to 2 spaces. So it lets you get a guy, move them back or away from where they are. So before I go through all of these, we're going to look at locations first. So if we look at the Arkham Asylum location, so this is side B, it's going to use the Toss stack. So if the scenario tells you to play Arkham Asylum on side B, you're going to put this stack next to it, so every time you move to Arkham, you can buy a Toss card. There's only 5 of them, so it's not, so unlike Kick where there's a ton, there's going to be a limited amount of each one. If, however, the scenario tells you to play with location A, you don't use this stack at all. This doesn't exist in this game, and instead you have the ability to pay 2 power to move target villain 1 space towards this space. So it's kind of interesting. So like one side you can pay 2 power to move characters towards you, which I mean might get them away from their other location. Or if you're on the other side, you can buy a card that lets you move them somewhere else. So very interesting. Our other locations we're going to look at is we have City Hall. You can pay 1 to move a target character 1 space. Or if we're on side B, we have the Flight stack. So, let me find Flight here. So, Flight is a move ability, of course. So what Flight does is it has cost 3 does 1. So they all cost 3, and well, I guess they don't. Some cost 2, so they don't always cost the same. But it has assist in range 3, so you can assist this card up to 3 spaces away, 1 power, and then place your character on any space. So this is kind of like an upgraded helping hand, so you can target characters from a distance. They still get that 1 power. And you can move to any space on the board. So buying this card, if it's out, is really useful for getting to where you need to be when you need to be there. We have the police station. Discard a card. You may put a card from your discard pile on the bottom of your deck. You may choose the discarded card. Yeah, so kind of like you reshuffle a little bit. And then we have the bat signal stack, because why wouldn't we? I like that it's just a generic police station, or it's just a generic city hall, because then you could potentially, in expansion, you could add another stack to that instead of replace bat signal with, Gotham Cops or something, or, GCPD or, whatever. But here's a bat signal, cost 3, has +1 power. Put a hero from your discard pile on top of your deck. If there's a supervillain in the lineup, put it into your hand instead. Let's put the hero into your hand, not the supervillain. Yeah, so basically it's like a summoning card. So the regular police station just lets you recycle a card. So hey, I can get it in my deck. I can draw it a little bit quicker rather than having to wait for my deck to entirely empty out and then reshuffle everything. This just lets you get it right on top of your deck or in your hand. So it's a little bit better version of that card. We have the Bat Cave. Pay 4 move points to destroy a card in your hand. This is helpful to get rid of them punches, or maybe a weakness. Otherwise, you can get the Bat Cycle, which the Bat Cycle says, choose 1. Move 2 or +2 power. So you get some options there. There's kind of like an upgraded kick card. We have the Bank. Pay 2 power to put a card from your hand on your superhero card. Play it during your next turn. So kind of like a speed boost. You get a card, so basically if you have something like, okay, I don't have enough power to be able to do this, or I don't have enough, or I need to make sure I can move next turn to do this, you could always opt to put one of those better cards, basically to draw in your next turn, which is really fun. Otherwise, we get the Withdraw stack, which withdrawal is 2 cost 1. This is basic. Gain a card with a cost of 4 or less within 1 range. So what you get, so basically if you buy this and you're standing on the bank, you could get a card from either stack, left or right. Or if you're next to it, you could possibly get one of these and something else, or buy one of the, basically any of the basic cards. So it's just a free extra way to get cheaper cards quick. We have the Daily Planet. Discard a card to reveal the top card of your deck. You may discard it. Kind of just see what's coming up. Otherwise, we have Tomorrow's Headline stack. Tomorrow's Headline stack costs 2, says +1 power for each supervillain in the lineup. Reveal the top card of the main deck. You may put it under the next 2 cards of the main deck. So every supervillain's out, you're gonna gain, there can actually be more than 5 potentially, because there could be multiple, because you could have multiple villains on each location, depending on how late in the game. So this is potentially just going to get stronger as the game goes on. Then reveal the top cards of the main deck. You can put it under the next 2 cards of the main stack. So it gives you a chance to kind of like, I don't really like this card, and it lets you reshuffle some stuff. Or you can see if a villain's coming up and hide them. And our final location is Star Labs. It's pay 3 move to draw a card. Or we have the Super Speed stack, which gives us the good old flash, which says move 3, defense, discard this card to avoid an attack. Draw a card, and you may move 1 space. So that's definitely helpful. You can use the defense, especially going to be a lot of attacks coming at you, and the extra move will help. So those are different stacks. Now again, those aren't going to be available every game, because some of the games, you have 5 locations out of these 7. So sometimes you'll have the pay power side, sometimes you'll have the stack. So you can't always count on, ooh, I'm going to have this turn, I'm going to have this next game. So that's actually very interesting. Alright, so let's look at our heroes before we jump any further into the rest of the deck, so we can see who we get to play as. We have our good old Boy Scout, Superman. Once during each your turn, +1 power for each villain in your space. So yeah, Superman's great for taking out villains. Wonder Woman, the Princess of Themyscira. The second time you play an assist card during each player's turn, target player draws a card. So that's kind of fun. She really wants to help out. So if you play 1 assist, great. You play a second assist during a turn, then a player gets to draw a card. And what's even nicer is because it could be, you could redraw a card to replace one of your assist cards. The player you've assisted twice could definitely maybe draw a third card, get another card, maybe that help them do even more stuff. Or you could be like, hey, player 3, why don't you draw a card? Maybe they played an assist as well, and that's helping refill their hands. It's nice and versatile. We're going to have our 2 Green Lanterns. First we have Simon Baz. During each of your turns, if you play 3 or more different card types, draw a card or move target character 1 space. And that kind of seems a lot like the original Green Lantern's ability, Hal Jordan's from the base set. Yeah, play 3 or more different card types. And this one you actually have an extra one because you have, you lose 1 because you can't get villains, but you do gain, you have hero, equipment, superpowers, but then you also have starters and basics. So you only have 5 types because you also lose location as one. But yeah, interesting. And then we have Jessica Cruz. During each of your turns, if you play 3 or more cards with the same card type, you may move target villain 1 space. So that is the exact same ability. Oh, it's target villain 1 space. So Simon moves a character, so you can move your allies around. Jessica's going to move villains. That's kind of a neat way to do that. Just have them be a little bit different. Then we have the Flash. Probably Wally West, could be Barry Allen. Not for sure. This is during Rebirth, so it's probably Barry Allen. At the start of each of your turns, you get two move, and then you can pay 5 move. The target player draws a card. So of course the Flash wants to move. So that definitely works for him. 2 free move every turn, and then you play an extra 3, you can draw an extra card. Or, again, target player can be anybody. We have Cyborg. If you play 2 or more different equipment during your turn, move 1 and +2 power. So, again, it makes sense for him to use equipment. Which also is different, because usually Batman's the equipment guy, but it makes sense for Cyborg. Speaking of Batman, each time you avoid an attack or defeat a villain, target player reveals the top card of their deck and may destroy it. This seems very Batman-y. More than him just getting equipment, this seems very Batman. He can dodge, preventive measures. He defeats villains, which he likes to do a lot. He probably defeats more, quote-unquote, defeats more villains, because they just go to Arkham and then they come back. But yeah, then he can destroy stuff, again, getting rid of weaknesses, making people stronger. That seems very Batman. And then our last one is Arthur Curry Aquaman. Not the Jason Momoa version, although that would be very cool if they made that version of this. Each time you play a superpower during your turn, target player You may put a card with a cost of 4 or less from their discard pile on the bottom of their deck. So this is kind of, again, going back to the original Aquaman. So yeah, it lets you... So target player may put a card with a cost of 4 or less from their discard pile on the bottom of their deck. His old ability, I think it was this Crisis one, where he could help out, was he could buy cards. In the original, he could buy his cards and put them on top of his deck. Crisis let him buy a card, put in anybody's deck. This, not necessarily buying them, but at least when you play a superpower card, so it'll give him an incentive to go after those. You can help people get cards back into their deck. So it's maybe not as effective. It'd be interesting to see how these characters work with like the Crisis deck, because those are all meant to be team up cards as well. Alright, so we're going to go through and we're going to look at the main deck of cards and see what kind of things we can do. We'll start with our heroes. So we're going to have 2 copies. I guess I have 2 copies of all of them, so I'll just mention how many we have as we go along. But we have Black Canary. So she has the move ability. I love that they put the keyword there. It just helps you notice it right away. She has assist and range 2. Gives move 1 and +1 power. Get Lois Lane. 2 copies of her. +2 powers. You may place this card on any space. If you do, move each villain within 1 range of that space to that space. Well, kind of makes her a damsel in distress. That's sort of interesting. You may move any space. If you do, move each villain from 1 range of that space to that space. I wonder why you gotta place it there. So maybe you have to probably go through and re-buy it again. But it might be worth it to move every character. 2 copies of Cyborg. +1 power. You may put an equipment with a cost of 4 or less from your discard pile in your hand. 2 copies of Aquaman. +1 power. You may put a superpower with a cost of 4 or less from your discard pile in your hands. These are going to mirror their abilities to at least some extent. 2 copies of Jessica Cruz. Draw 2 cards, then discard a card. 2 Simon Bazes. +1 power, reveal the top card of your deck, then draw or destroy it. 2 Green Arrows. Assist. Range 4, you get +2 power. Makes sense. Just a shoot an arrow. So then we only get 1 copy of Batman. +2 power, defense. Discard this to avoid an attack. If you avoid a supervillain's attack, draw 2 cards. Otherwise, defeat the villain. That's actually really fun. Just straight up just to defeat some characters. We have 2 copies of Wonder Woman. Assist, range 1, +2 power. You may put an assist card from your discard pile on top of your deck. 2 copies of Dr. Fate. +2 power. Each time you defeat a villain this turn, gain its reward in additional time. 2 copies of Blue Beetle. Jaime Rise. +2 power, defense. Once per attack, you may reveal this to have target character within range 1, avoiding attack and gain 1 power. Ooh, that's fun. Defense with a range. We have 1 Flash. Plus power equal to your current move this turn. And then 1 Superman, who says move 2 and +3 power. Villains in your current space and villains in spaces you move into move with you until you stop moving. So you can just shove people around the board. So that's definitely fun. So basically the 6 and 7 cost cards, we only have 1 copy of each. And then the lower ones we have 2 is what it looks like. Alright, let's look at some superpowers. So we have 2 copies of Hard Water Bubble. Superpower, +1 power, defense, discard to have this, have target character within 2 range, avoiding attack, and get +2 power. Contained, got 2 copies of this, +2 power, place a contained token on a villain in your space, remove it at the end of your turn. So there's where our little contained tokens we saw would say, Doesn't move at the start of the turn, you move at the end of your next turn. So basically it stops villains from moving around. 2 copies of telepathy. Assist in range 3. Put a card from your discard pile on top of your deck. 2 copies of blast. +2 power, pay X move. Move target villain X spaces. That's actually kind of fun, so you can move them. There can be 10 spots, so the most you'd ever probably move them is 9, because it wouldn't make sense to move them back to the spot you're at. 2 copies of Super Breath. +2 power, you may move all non-basic cards in your You may move all non-basic cards in your space, 2 spaces in a single direction. Oh, so that's fun. So you could move stuff from the lineup, or villains, or not characters, I guess, because that'd be basic cards. You can move all of them around. Cool. But he says you have the option. You don't have to move them, but if you do, you have to move everything. 2 copies of Vibration. Move 3, defense. Discard this to avoid each attack this turn. For each attack you avoid, +1 power. Alright. The Bolt of Zeus. 2 copies of those. Assist, range 2, +1 power, and draw a card. 2 copies of Heat Vision. +2 power. Target player may destroy a card in their discard pile. 2 copies of Shields Up. +2 power, defense. Discard just to have any number of characters within 1 range, avoid 1 attack, draw 1 card. So this is really good against within 1 range. Just basically cover 3 spaces, but it's good against supervillains who attack everybody. We have 2 copies of Flurry of Fists. Assist, range 2, put all starter cards in your discard pile into your hand. And then the final 3 cards, we only have 1 of each. We have 1 Constructs. Target player draws 2 cards. Speed Force. Move 4. Once during your turn, draw a card for each villain on your space. And Super Strength. +4 power, and an additional +1 power for each villain in your space. Alright. I think we went through too much stuff here, so I think we're going to redo this. Alright, so we got Jetpack. I'm thinking I should have a second copy of that. Nope, I only got 1 copy of Jetpack. Equipment. Place your character on any space. You may place this card on your new space. If you do, +2 power. Let's see, move around. We have 2 copies of the Batmobile. Ongoing. Discard a card. Move 1. Defense. Discard this card from play to avoid an attack. So it's kind of nice. It gets to stay out, and then you get to discard it when you need to use it for a defense. 2 grappling hooks. Draw a card. You may move target villain within 2 ranges to your space. The Trident of Atlantis. +2 power. You may buy a superpowers on any space. The Flash Helmet. Assist. Range 3. Move 3. You may destroy a card in your hand. 2 copies of Holographic Computing. +2 power. You may buy equipment on any space. 2 copies of Zodiac Crystals. Assist, range 2. Draw a card, pay 2 less to defeat supervillains this turn. 2 copies of a Super Suit. Move 2, +2 powers, and then defense. Discard this to avoid an attack. Draw a card and place your character on a space. Each character on that space avoids the attack. 2 copies of Sonic Cannon. +2 power, target any number of villains within range 1. Move each of them 1 space away from you. And then we have 2 copies of the Bat Computer. +2 power, for each time you are attacked this turn, draw a card. And then the last 3, we only have 1 copy of each, so we have 1 Bat Plane. Assist, range 2, +3 power. Place your character on any space. Wonder Woman shield. Ongoing defense. Discard this from play or discard this from play or discard a card at the cost of 1 or greater from your hand to avoid an attack. And then Power Battery. Reveal cards from the top of your deck until you reveal 2 different card types, then draw each revealed card. So that's fun. Kind of weird, there's only 2 ongoing cards. Wish there would have been a couple more of those. Alright, then we're going to jump into the villains. So we have the regular villains and then super villains. So our regular villains are going to be Count Vertigo. Attack, discard cards until you have discarded 2 powers worth of cards. Reward, target player puts a starter card from their discard pile in their hand. So when they are in their destination, so in heated spot 4, he'll start attacking people. And then if you defeat him, though, at any point you gain that reward. This also might be a thing with co-op. Some of them might be, although yes, you want to defeat these guys as quickly as possible, depending on their reward, it might make more sense for one character to defeat someone over the other one. For example, Dr. Polaris says, attack, discard an equipment, and then reward. Target player puts an equipment from their discard pile in their hand. If you're playing Cyborg, who really wants equipment, it might make more sense for him to try and run over and defeat Dr. Polaris, versus maybe if you're playing Superman, who just wants to worry about villains, might be fine for him too. But, I mean, again, the ultimate, you want, on cooperative mode, you want to defeat them regardless. But if you're trying to maybe utilize it, hey, anyone can muster up 6 points, maybe you should take care of them because you'll gain. I don't have any equipment in my deck, so it kind of doesn't make sense for me to even defeat him. Although, on the other hand, if you're playing competitive, it might make sense for someone else to run over and try and defeat him before Cyborg. Hey, I don't have any equipment in my hand, but at least it keeps that guy from gaining that bonus as well. It's kind of interesting there. We have Major Disaster. Attack, you may play only 1 move card from your hand during your turn. Reward, target player draws a card, then place your character on any space. Psycho Pirate. Attack, shuffle each card with a cost of 0 from your discard pile into your deck. Reward, each player reveals the top card of their deck. You may discard any number of cards revealed this way. It's a weird way to put that. Giganta. Attack, discard a card with a cost of 5 or greater. Reward, target player puts a basic card from their discard pile in their hand. Scarecrow. Attack, gain a weakness. Reward, move 1 and +2 power. Cheetah. Attack, put a card with a cost of 2, 3, or 4 from your discard pile into your space. Reward, target player gains a card with a cost of 4 or less from their space and puts it into their hand. Solomon Grundy. Attack, gain a weakness. Reward, each player reveals the top card of their deck and may destroy it. Bane. Attack, discard a hero. Reward, target player puts a hero from their discard pile to their hand. So usually most of the rewards just opposite of what the attack was. Poison Ivy, discard a superpower. Target player puts a superpower from their discard pile in their hand. Bizarro, gain a weakness. Reward, gain a weakness. There's a lot more stuff in this game though that's discard a card, which sucks because it limits your turn, but it doesn't hurt you nearly as much as I'm telling you to KO stuff. Just says Black Manta. Put a card with a cost of 0 from your hand on the bottom of your deck. Reward, draw 2 cards. Simon. Attack, discard a move card. Reward, target player puts a move card from their discard pile in their hand. The Joker. Attack, discard a random card. Reward, target player puts the highest cost card from their discard pile in their hand. And then finally, the Eradicator. Destroy a non-villain card in your space. Reward, you may gain 1 non-villain card within range 1. So that was all of our villains. Then we're going to look at our super villains, who are ultimate guys to try and beat. So we're going to start with Doomsday. So I'm not sure why Doomsday has the least amount of power. What he says, attack, deal 1 damage to the location nearest to Doomsday. If tied nearest clockwise, reward, remove all damage from target location. Deathstroke. Attack, destroy a basic card in your hand or discard pile. Reward, target player gains a basic card from the destroyed pile and puts it into their hand. So I still just say attack, but they attack everybody. And now there is... So when you mix these cards up, you put 2 in every one of the 5 stacks you make. So you could, at least maybe starting out, maybe your first game or first couple of games, you could always put the 8 cost guys in the first pile, the 9 in the second ones, the 10 in the third ones, so on and so forth. Just to try, so that way, as you progress through the decks, you're going to be fighting harder and harder guys versus maybe coming off with a really hard guy first. But if you do that too many times, they're going to become predictable. But that's, that's what happens. Reverse Flash. Move 2 spaces towards his destination during step 3 of the turn sequence. Attack. Discard a card. Reward, target player draws 2 cards. Despero. Or Despero. Attack. Pass a card from your hand to the discard pile of the player on your left. Reward. Target player puts a card of the cost of 5 or less from their discard pile into their hand. Amazo. Attack. Discard a punch. If you cannot, gain a weakness. Reward. Each player puts up to 2 cards of the cost of 0 from their discard pile into their hand. Lex Luthor. Attack. Discard 2 assist cards. Reward. Target player puts an assist card from the discard pile in their hand. General Zod. Attack. Gain a weakness. Reward. Destroy up to 3 cards with a cost of 0 in players' discard piles. And Sinestro. Attack. Gain a card with a cost of 0 from the destroyed pile. Reward. Each player destroys a card in their hand. That reward is kind of double-sided because it's assuming you have a crappy card in your hand. By the time you fight him, you may only have good cards. Although, that being said, if he was the last guy you fought, it wouldn't probably make any difference. Alright, so that is what we have for all our basic stuff. We're going to look at we're going to actually pull this apart and we're going to do a part 3 video. So part 1 will be all the... It was all the stuff where we talked about the game. Part 2 here was all the main deck stuff. And then part 3 will be all these spoiler revealing stuff. Now if you only want to watch that, you can just watch the 3rd video. Or you could stop here. So maybe see you guys in the next video.